talk grind, we talk gold. Street hustle, rhythm control, ideas cooking flame on high. No shortcuts, just do or die. 86 opinions, both precision, no permission. We build a vision, we rise, we move, we own this lane. 86 opinions, remember the name. Real talk, no filters needed. If it's raw truth, we feed it.
Welcome back to 86 Opinions, where your opinion is just not part of the recipe, where we dive deep into the tech, into the digital marketing world of restaurants and food trucks going into 2026. And this is an insanely informative episode. And the reason why this is insanely informative is just simply because in the restaurant world, in the food truck world, there was a time where being good was enough. And we just have to kind of face it that just being good isn't enough anymore. So we need to work on being better, being the best. And kind of the big thing behind that is that most restaurants these days doesn't necessarily have a brand. They just have a logo. And if your logo is nothing more than a logo that's hanging outside your establishment, on your sign, on your window, and nobody really equates that with anything, you just have a logo. We need to start talking about building brand identity. So think about this. If I was to remove your name from your Instagram and just show your logo, would anybody know that it was you? Because when you have a good brand identity, that is when people will say, that's my spot. You have to try this place. I don't even care what I get there. It's always going to be good. Social trust is what gets you the attention, and it's very important, but building brand is what gets you the loyalty. The loyalty from all the customers within 5 to 10 miles of your front door that are going to tell people specifically and exactly what your brand stands for. So when we talk about restaurant and food truck brand, let's start out by just simply killing some myths right up front. Your brand identity is not just your logo, it's not just your colors, and it's not just your menu font from 2009 when you opened that's never been updated. Brand identity goes so much deeper and so much further than that it's so important that we capture this in 2026 because, like we said before, it what builds the loyalty and gets people coming back. What brand loyalty really is it's the feeling that people get when they think about you. What brand identity truly is it's the story that they tell their friends. What brand identity really is the expectations that you set and you consistently meet, because brand identity is your reputation with a personality. You have to have some type of brand personality. People want to resonate with us as business owners, as brand stories. Storytelling is absolutely huge in 2026. Capturing your brand story and telling people everything about you, and more importantly than just covering what you want to tell them about you, but tell them what you want them to tell other people about you, that's where the momentum happens. So why does this matter so much heading into 2026? We have to face it. The restaurant and food truck market is oversaturated, and the choice to the consumers is an overload. The choice of where to eat, the choice of where to go, the choice of where to spend our hard-earned money. That is an overload that is just absolutely real, and let's face it, customers have too many options. When we start talking about technology, AI, Google, and social feeds are going to surface brands, not just businesses. They're scouring the internet and they're looking for anything and everything they can find to give me, the customer on the other end, the best bang for my buck. And because the AI platforms want to be the best, they're going to choose the brands, not the businesses, the brands that have the most information out there that they can equate back to a reputable business. So if you're forgettable, you're simply just replaceable by the competitor down the road. Strong brands going into 2026 will get forgiven faster, they will get shared more, and they will get chosen without price shopping. Because when you have a strong brand identity and people back you, That will give you a perceived brand value that people are willing to spend more because they know that your brand is going to bring the bang for the buck. You've got that reputation already. So it starts with acquiring the social trust, and then we continue to build that through our advertising, through our marketing, through our social media campaigns. Right now in 2026, we have one of the most optimal times in the history of the world as far as how quickly and how effectively we can reach our customers, our target market, who we want to go shopping with us. And organic social media is free. We got to play by the rules of the platforms. We have to capture the customer data, yada, yada, yada. That's going to go into the next podcast of talking about nurturing that relationship. But as far as putting the information out there and seeing what sticks organically on social media, it's free. We can talk about putting ad spend behind it, but it's free. We've never had this capability before in the history of the world. And the fact that most restaurant owners and food truckers don't just take the time to learn it effectively is beyond me. And there's a lot of us that are out there. We're doing an amazing job with it. I can count numerous brands that are being built right now on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, you name it. And certain platforms might be better for a specific brand, but you don't know that if you don't get out there and get your feet wet and start putting yourself out there on camera, putting your brand out there on camera, and giving everybody a glimpse into what they're getting before they even dine with you. The hard truth about this is that people just don't fall in love with menus anymore. People are not going to fall in love with just pictures of hamburgers and pictures of pizza, especially in an AI world where AI is making all kinds of sexy photos. And I know we could go back and forth about, whether AI photos should be used, whether they should not be used. It doesn't really matter to me, to be honest with you. We've been eating Burger King Whoppers that don't look like the photo for decades now, and we've used simple tricks within restaurant food photography to make things look better, using shaving cream instead of whipped cream on the pumpkin pie so it stands up better under the hot lights. There's so many little things that we've used. We've been AIing food photos for years and decades within the restaurant world. So this is just nothing more than that for me. But going back, get off my soapbox there for a second. People are not falling in love with your photos and your menus anymore. It gets the attention. It'll garnish my attention if I see a nice big juicy burger or a good cheesy pull piece of pizza or whatever I'm looking at that particular time, but I don't fall in love with it. I'm going to fall in love with your brand because once you capture my attention with that cheese pull, I want to see the vibe behind your place. I want to hear the stories of why you own a pizza place. I want to see you visibly in my feed 7 to 11 times before I actually come in and try that piece of pizza. And what I mean by that is it's just known that a customer in today, 2026, needs to see your brand and be drawn to it 7 to 11 times. That means you have to touch a customer 7 to 11 times before I'm going to come in and spend money. So how are you doing that? The best way to do it's organic social media, and it's not even close. Everything else is way too expensive. Everything else, there's no real way to read the metrics on the back end. It's organic social media and the building blocks of getting it up there and presenting yourself in the way that you want to portray your brand identity so that you can enhance that perceived brand value, right? So let's talk about the building blocks. Let's talk about the core pillars of restaurant brand identity. Number one, the first core pillar of restaurant brand identity is your why. Your story is always better than your accomplishments and your sales. Let's talk about why you started. Why did you start what you started? I actually started the Digital Chef podcast and 86 Opinions and the Digital Chef moniker in a restaurant creative marketing consulting business simply because when I ran my restaurant and food truck and catering company, I realized what was missing from most places. I was very good at garnishing attention for my own place, and I can identify what people are going to do next. I'm a people watcher. I watch where attention goes. I watched where attention of my restaurant was going. I watched where the attention of my food truck was going, and I made sure I stayed in front of it. What do you stand for? What are your beliefs? What do you refuse to compromise on? When I had my restaurant food truck, I refused to compromise on quality. If I couldn't get the tortillas that I used on a daily basis, guess what? We didn't have tacos that day. If I didn't have the stuff to make homemade tartar sauce, I didn't go down to Dollar General and purchase Clover Valley tartar sauce to put on our fried catfish. Now, I use that as a very story because I did have a manager do that one time, and boy, I about lost my shit. I did lose my shit. Because that was something that as a business owner, I refused to compromise on for my brand. Our tagline is, we smoke the good stuff, and you're only getting good stuff when you come to Blue Country Barbecue. And that is a reputation that will precede me everywhere I go because we had amazing quality food. I didn't always do good at the operational side, and I'll own that. But the one thing that we didn't compromise was the quality of our food. It was always good. So take a hypothetical example for this. If I give you 2 taco trucks, let's get my businesses out of the mix here. If I give you 2 taco trucks, they're the same price and they have the same exact food. One taco truck tells a story, gives the vibe, shows the atmosphere, puts a brand behind it that people can resonate with. One taco truck doesn't. It's just a plain white truck sitting on the side of the road. Which one are you going to go with? Guess who wins that? Pretty common sense, right? We know what people are going to be attracted to and what they're not going to be attracted to. And we know this because we're people. We know what we're attracted to. We know what we do to look for restaurants when we go out of the area to find new places to eat. We know what we look for. Give your community the same exact thing that you look for, and you're accomplishing some stuff here with your brand, right? You're not going to go to that plain white taco truck unless you've been told about it. You need to control the brand story of your brand. Core pillar number 2 of restaurant brand identity is your absolute brand voice in how you talk to your customers repeatedly. It's a very good thing to do a customer avatar and then think in your head every time you put out content that you're talking to that specific customer. And that's for another day. But the good thing that you can do when you do a customer avatar and you talk specifically to that customer every single time that you put something out is you gain a consistent brand voice. Customers want to see consistency. They want to know they're getting the same thing from you every single time. Whether you want to be funny, whether you want to be bold, whether you want to be family friendly, whether you want to be just no BS and straight to the point, your brand identity and your core pillar of brand voice can be whatever you want it to be, as long as you're tackling that target market that resonates with that brand voice. Your captions, your review replies, your menu, your signage, everything needs to sound like the exact same person, because inconsistency just causes confusion, and confusion just becomes a lack of within your core audience. And then we're right back to square one, the A in the ABCs of acquiring social trust. When you're building brand identity, we're on B, we've passed A. We gain that, we acquire that social trust. Now we're building brand identity. We need the consistency. We don't want to confuse our customers here. The third core pillar of your restaurant brand identity is your visual consistency. Just like your brand voice, everything that you do visually for your restaurant, for your food truck, needs to be consistent. You don't have to be fancy. No one's telling you have to be fancy. No one's telling you have to spend thousands of dollars on the right menu boards and millions of dollars on this, because chaos doesn't convert. Chaos does not convert. What we need is consistent photos, consistent colors, consistent lighting, consistent menu boards, a consistent website, consistency in the social feeds. That's all we're asking for. If you're new and you're setting up a pop-up, show that. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. It's transparency. What we don't want to see is a 5-star dining experience portrayed online, and then we walk in and you are just a pop-up. That's chaos. And like we said, chaos just doesn't convert. So think about your visual consistency and dial that in just like you do with your brand voice. You want customers to feel the same thing every time they look at you. The fourth core pillar of your restaurant brand identity is to make sure that your experience matches your promise. If you say bold flavors, boy, you better be delivering some bold flavors, especially if I'm coming. I'm a seasoned cracker, and I want some seasoning up on this piece. I want bold flavors in all my food, man. And if you say that you're fast and friendly, that you're a fast casual restaurant, you can't move like molasses. It's okay to be slow if you're waiting for the food to come out and people are waiting for that quality food. People will wait for quality food. But if you say you're fast and friendly, boy, you better be fast and you better be friendly. Your brand identity will collapse when those expectations don't match the reality when I walk into your place. Don't set up specific expectations online and then give me something completely different when I walk in the door, because it's just going to tarnish the reputation right off the bat. Now let's talk about where most restaurants accidentally destroy their brand. Okay. This is where a lot of restaurants going into 2026 are just missing the mark. And that's just not having a strategy. Randomly posting with no strategy, showing pictures of your food because it looks what was nice that day, that is not developing a brand. That is just you showing pictures of hamburgers. You need to really take your brand strategy and put some emphasis behind it, put some coordination behind it, and put some work behind it. It's got to be authentic, and it's got to be you. You can't copy your competitors. We want to see you be yourself. You can't have inconsistent hours online versus what you're actually there. If people are showing up and you're closed and you just didn't happen to go in and update your Google business profile that your hours were changed that day, it's going to get under the skin of your customers. Ask me how I know that one. I'm definitely guilty of that one. Boy, we moved our hour. That was one of my operational downfalls. We moved our hours around so much based off of what I had going on that day, whether I had a catering, people called in sick. It was just the grind and it was the hustle. And I felt at the time I was doing what I had to do. And luckily we had an amazing brand identity already built up. So we had people in our corner. But people, when you say you're going to be there, boy, you better be there. This is where having an SMS system, especially for a food truck, so if weather gets in the way, the truck breaks down, something happens, you can actually send a text message to your target audience in that area, let them know that you're going to be late and you're not relying just on a Facebook post in hopes that people see it because you're going to let them down. Okay. We have to be consistent. We don't want old photos floating around Google. We don't want a different tone across platforms. I want my Google business profile to look like my Instagram, to look like my Facebook, to look like my TikTok. Everything looks the same. When I pop onto one of your social media pages, I should automatically know who I'm dealing with. It's very, very important. Letting platforms, customers, or bad reviews define your narrative is not good for your brand identity. People are going to say whatever they feel like saying when it comes down time to putting out that review. But if you guide them along that journey and tell them about your food, tell them what people you want to say it, and you control the brand story, that gives you the ability to take control of the narrative. And if you don't take control of the narrative of your own brand story, the internet will take control of it. And that is not a good place to be, because then they're going to make assumptions based off of the inconsistency and the chaos that you fed them. You do not want to deal with inconsistency and chaos from disgruntled customers, disgruntled employees, anything of that nature. There was a specific day when I had my restaurant, food truck, and catering company, and I remember the overwhelming feeling of satisfaction when I got to the point that when somebody would put up something negative on one of our social media channels and customers came to my defense, filling in the void with exactly what I would have said anyway, boy, that was when I knew I had a brand. That's when I knew I was onto something. And that's when I knew that I was doing the marketing for the restaurant and the food truck and the catering company the exact way that it needed to be done, because people were speaking up for me with my own intentional brand voice. So outside of just all of that brand identity stuff, let's flip this into action a little bit. How can your restaurant actually build brand identity? These are going to be some simple, doable moves that anybody in the industry can do And the first thing that I want you to do is just pick 3 brand words. If you had to pick 3 words that described your place, 3 that come to mind right now for me are going to be bold, local, no frills. What do I mean by that? Bold, we're in your face. We're going to punch you with flavor. We're local. We're from the same community you are. And no frills. We're not trying to be all fancy hoity-toity. You're going to come here and you're going to get banging-ass smash burger, and there's not going to be any craziness about it. We're going to deliver bold food to the local community with no frills. Boom. That's what you're getting every time you come here, and we're going to pump it out. Now you want to go to your Google business and all of your socials and make sure you do an audit so that those 3 brand words are exactly what you portray across every single one of those platforms. And come up with your own words. Don't just use the bold, local, and no frills. Come up with your own 3 words that describe your brand. Audit your social media channels, including your Google business profile, and make sure that that is what you are portraying through every single channel. Decide specifically what you want your establishment to be known for. I tell people all the time, what is one thing that I can get at your restaurant or food truck that I cannot get anywhere else in town? You better have something. You better have something that stands out in 2026, because heating up Cisco food and heating up just mass-produced processed foods ain't cutting it no more. You better have something that stands out. Man, I went to Hash House A Go-Go last week in Las Vegas, and I tell you what, boy, that Hash House A Go-Go sage-crusted chicken and waffles, if you ain't never had it, boy, you better get on it and then go home and start creating a dish that compares to that sage-crusted chicken and waffles from Hash House A Go-Go, because I want to know that when I go to your place, even if I don't order it every time, I want to know that that is the one dish you are known for. You got to have one. Got to have one in the restaurant world. The other thing that you want to be known for, do you want to be known for your vibe? Is it a vibe that you want to be known for? Laid back atmosphere, coffee shop vibes. Is it a mission you want to be known for? Are you donating to a specific charity? Is it your personality that you want to be known for? These are all things that you need to decide what you're known for. And I think that even more than just one thing, we always want to document like our people. We want to document our processes, and we absolutely want to document our product. Those are the 3 Ps that we want to make sure we're documenting and that we're taking care of every single time a piece of content goes out. Now, not that every single piece of content has to have all 3 of those things in it, but it needs to have at least one of those things and telling a story of one of those things, and you can intermingle a couple things in there. But I think we're getting the picture of how we've got to be known for something behind our brand. I like the dish. Pick a vibe, pick a mission, pick a personality, pick something that you're known for that I'm not going to get anywhere else in your local community. And when we talk about the people, don't be afraid to show faces of the owners, the staff, the cooks. When you show faces of real people telling your brand story online through social media, you are building trust and you're building identity. That's exactly what we want. We have to get those people, the owners, the staff, the cooks, tell the micro stories of what's going on in your establishment. Have the cook talk about specifically why that dish that you're known for exists. Why is this on the menu? And remember, just because you like it doesn't mean everybody else likes it. Look at your POS. Is that dish even selling? Don't try to sell a dish that people that are coming in don't even like. Get that sucker 86 it off the menu. Get your sage-crusted chicken and waffles, whatever that may be for you, and get your cooks, your chefs, to tell the story about why that dish exists and put some popularity behind it. Get your owners to talk about why you source things the way that you do. Is it because of price points? Is it because of quality? Is it because it's locally sourced? Talk about all of those things, why we source the way we do. People will complain about pricing, and sometimes complaints about pricing just simply needs an owner coming on and saying, hey, this is why our costs are high. We locally source and we're getting the best quality stuff. 90% of your customers will shut up because they understand that. But if you don't give them that explanation and that little micro story behind the pricing, you're opening yourself up for the scrutiny. And you're always going to have some scrutiny. You got to let that kind of flow off your back. That's just kind of the name of the game in social media. Negativity is loud, but positivity always wins. And I'm a firm believer in that. So going back to the micro stories real quick, get your staff to talk about why the customers keep coming back. From the staff perspective, why do our customers return? What about our staff makes it fun? Let's hear these stories from these people within your establishment. Brand identity, it's not built in a day. You know, Rome wasn't built in a day. Your brand's not built in a day. It's not done in one photo shoot. This is stuff that we have to recreate and consistently do day in and day out of the restaurant operations. It's so important. And I think one thing that we see a lot of times on social media is we get this false sense of entitlement that we're going to have this one breakout video, that our brand's going to go viral and everything's going to be happy. And if you look at most social media accounts of restaurants, we're not getting virality, guys. Virality is great, but it's a flash in the pan. We need consistency. So to tie this back to the actual ABCs of marketing and how brand identity feeds into that, acquiring social trust. This brand identity is really going to hit all three wickets of the ABCs if we really want to break it down that way. And the reason that I say that is because when we talk about acquiring social trust, brand identity gives people a reason to believe you. You've built a brand around and behind and through all of that trust. When you talk about the B's of building brand identity, we're talking about making you memorable and not just visible. We want people to remember the experience that they're going to have. We want people to tell other people about the experience that they have. And as far as customer acquisition and retention, brands don't chase customers. Customers chase brands. Let me say that again. Brands don't chase customers. Customers chase brands. When you can build that brand identity, you are going to see the way that customers will flock to you just based off of that known brand. I've got a few restaurants right now that I can tell you are doing a bang-up job at this, and you know who you are. You know who you are, Twisted Fork. You know who you are, Ace of Wings. You know who you are, all you guys out there just killing it, man. And I love seeing it. You just got to get it done. Strong brands can spend less money on ads and absolutely win more on loyalty. Ads are a thing. Ads are going to come into play. Anytime that you want growth, ads are going to be a great answer for you, but we always test that with organic social media. You've heard me talk about that plenty of times before. It all starts with organic social media, but you're always going to want to put money into ads, but you want to know that you're putting money into the right ads and the right things, and building this brand identity and developing the business around that brand identity is going to drive that North Star for you to know when to spend ads and when not to spend ads. The big thing to remember here is that you do not have to be everything to everyone. You can't be everything to everyone. You want to be the brand, not the option. Don't try to please everybody. Everybody's always going to have an opinion. And guess what? Just like this podcast, your opinion is not part of the recipe in my kitchen either. The recipe is the recipe. The recipe for your marketing is the recipe for your marketing. It's time to 86 those opinions and start pumping out your brand so that you can be something unforgettable to the right people. Not everybody, to the right people. Because logos will fade. Logos kind of die out. That's why we redo logos every handful of years. But the brand behind the logo will stick. And if you build a brand that your customers want to wear, talk about, and defend in your comment sections the same way I got my customers to defend me in the comment sections, then you want to take the steps to build that awesome brand identity going into 2026. It is going to be imperative with AI taking over search engines. We cannot stress building brand identity enough. So if you want to know more about building brand identity, you can follow us on all of our socials, The Digital Chef, on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, White Bus Media on LinkedIn. We've got the American Streets on YouTube. And you can also book a strategy call at the link in the bio. And let's turn your restaurant into a brand and not a background option.